part of the past, I don't want to
Okay. Yes.
So hello everyone, today I just have my special guest, my friend Rod Kenny. So Rod is a famous business coach, as noticed in Auckland. A little background about Rod. He has a farming background, he coaching many people who success in the business. But today I won't ask him to coach me for business. I asked him to give some tips about how he success in his marriage in 42 years. Is it 42 years?
42 years.
Right. So, Raj, can you tell a little bit how you make this 40 years marriage work with so success to inspire other people?
Well, that's not an easy question, Daniel, but I married in the early 70s, 1971 to be exact. And the things that really strike me as being the reason for my marriage persisting as it was is that it was an equal partnership. We decided early on that there was no his and her background, his and her division in the marriage. It was whatever needed to be done, we did. And we did it together. So what was important for me was that I had a friendship to start with. So the base on which we were building was a strong friendship.
Right.
Then we had an agreement, I suppose, to a certain extent, although it was unwritten and it was undiscussed. It was that we didn't do anything unless there was an agreement between the two of us, and that we worked things out together.
Right.
We did, I find there's a couple of things that have helped us over the years, and one of the tools that I use as a coach as well, and that's that we always, when there's major decisions, family decisions to be made, we always had a piece of paper on the dining room table or on a table somewhere that had the T, positive and negative, and we both, over a period of a week or so, wrote down our thoughts, and then we came together and discussed how that would help us. And it's little things like that that meant that each of us were heard. But what's more important is that the other always listened. So we had a strong relationship to start with in terms of friendship. We had an opportunity when things went wrong, a process that we used to put them right, or to get them to a uniform place again. And we had a strong communication. Perhaps less so as we've got on at 42 years. We joke with each other to say that we actually know each other so well that we can almost come up with the ideas of the other person before they're expressed. But it's over the years there's always been that. And the other thing that I found was important is that we never overtook each other. My wife Kay has her skills, I have mine. We didn't try to change each other. It was a case of, I understand there are weaknesses and strengths. Recognise and love the weaknesses as much as I recognise and love the strengths. And that was true for both of us. So we didn't set out to change somebody, to bend them to... I didn't try to change Kay to bend her to my will. I recognised that unconditional love, which is what a good marriage is based on, has to recognise that there are strengths and weaknesses that just have to be recognised. And that if there is a need to change at times where there is, because of external influence, such as work or children, for example, then they were recognised together. And were never a reason for one or other of us being dominant in that situation.
You know, where I come from, my culture, Chinese, so most our generation already got over to the part we call arranged marriage. But something interesting happened after I doing my research and study. My brother and sister both arranged marriage. And I do call to my aunt, my mom, my dad, and they both very happy. And I was wondering, is it arranged marriage is better than a friendship marriage? What do you think then?
I find that difficult to answer because I'm not in the culture where arranged marriages are a thing. The marriage is by choice in the Western culture. However, I did hear a discussion on exactly the same subject just the other day. And I understand that in a situation where the choice is to go along with the cultural aspect of arranged marriage, that it can be beneficial to both parties. So I guess where there's a belief that there is no choice, there actually is. And the choice is that we will go with the cultural aspect of your upbringing and how it's done in the country, in your country. And yeah, I guess that there are some arranged marriages that don't work, but it is a choice. It's a choice to go with the culture or to go against the culture to a certain extent.
Right. And before we have this interview, before I just chat you regarding you have a friends who have the same pretty bit like you. They also have 30, 40 years marriage.
Yes, all of them. Those friends, particularly the ones I think of going through university, have all had long marriages. They're all married to the same people that they married when Kay and I got married. So, yeah, there's been amongst the group of friends a history of marriage with longevity. So it would be different for everybody, though. The reasons that they stuck together would be different from mine. I believe, though, that all of us, because we are still all friends, that the one thing that we have in common is the ability to be able to communicate and listen. So to find the needs of the others and recognise those needs, as well as being able to express our own needs, is a way of making sure that there's a win-win relationship going on, rather than...
Another person you were subject to about a model. Can you expand that a little bit to the audience?
Well, a win-win relationship is about both parties getting their needs met. Whereas the other opportunity is for somebody to lose and somebody to win, which is a dominant style. And in a relationship where there's continual dominance, it can be destructive to one person.
Right.
In a situation where nobody gets their needs met, frequently that's where it ends up in separation. And so they're really striving for a win-win. In other words, if there's a major decision to be made, then there's got to be a joint effort, and it's got to support the needs of both parties, both the husband and wife. That's particularly so when children come along, because it adds a completely new dimension to the partnership, and it changes the life of one or both people. I believe it changes the life of both, but sometimes that's not recognised, and that can be a challenge for some. But children have their own. They come with their own benefits. They come with their own challenges as well, sleepless nights and dirty nappies and all those sorts of things. But the benefits outweigh all of that. But there is a need then to sit down and determine how both can work with the new dimension, and unless that's done, again, it can create some challenges.
Do you believe marriage is an art?
Is an art?
The art.
I believe life is an art. Marriage is just one part of it. I believe that there is a real commitment to be made to marriage. It can't be treated as a commodity. Like if it doesn't work, we'll throw it away and start again. Because that's effectively waste. And for me, life's too short. I see life from 60-something now, 62 now. Life's too short to waste any part of it. And so I always strive to do the things that I do and do them well. I don't always succeed in that, but luckily enough I've been able to in marriage. And I think for me that it was always my beliefs first, my wife next, my family next, and then generally work commitments and others after that.
And one more question I can ask you. I'm very fascinated about your marriage or your generation, 40 years. Do you have any stage you think about, oh, I choose the right person as all quality as met your needs?
I probably have. I probably have, but only fleetingly. It's not something that, it's not a thought that's persistent at all. Because when there's always disagreements. I mean, marriage is not a straight line. You have disagreements. You have. I don't believe in arguments because that's a waste of emotion. But you disagree with each other. And two rules I've always applied to myself in that is that I strive very hard. If we have a disagreement during the day, never to take that into the next day. So it's always resolved before we go to sleep. And it's so. But otherwise, the excuse is not to say anything, not to communicate. So we always try to resolve any disagreements during in one day, in the day that the disagreement occurred. And that goes for my kids as well, where I've and, you know, they have to live their own lives, but that's the sort of culture I hope that I've been able to instill in them. No, I probably in frustration said it, but or thought it at least, but no, it's never been a thought that's persistent ever.
One interesting I want to share with you, you probably didn't know this. Why I didn't want to do the interview with you because I remember just a few months back I met your wife in the bank, and I see one moment that really inspired me. That is, I think you're holding her when you go to a counter and you hold her hand and you do really take care of, and I just think, oh, that's just so lovely. I want to find out what's your marriage secret.
I suppose I grew up, and the values that were instilled in me when I grew up were that of caring for people. And yeah, we hold hands. There's not a day goes past. There's not one day ever in 42 years that I've never told her I loved her. More than once, often. And it's just what that does is reinforce the relationship. And because marriage is not easy at times. It takes work. And if you're not prepared to put the work in, then the results speak for themselves. So it does two things. One, because I don't know what's going on in my wife's life all the time. She's going to work. She goes to work somewhere else. And sometimes she needs to have that stability when she comes home. So for me, putting my arm around her, holding her hand, telling her I love her is about stability. It's about having one thing that she can trust in her life, regardless of what else is going on around her.
It is so inspired and loved watching you guys. And I think, what do you think in a marriage, a man should lead or a woman should follow?
I think the lead has to be taken by the person, by the partner that has the strength in whatever it is that's going on. And I don't believe there should be a man or a woman thing. I think it's got to be that the situation requires either my wife to lead or for me to lead, depending on what that is. And we always have worked that way. Yeah, I don't think I don't think the man in today's age, I don't think the man necessarily needs to take the lead. Obviously needs to be heard and needs to be listened to, and the reverse is true as well. But it's a partnership, so there's no leader or follower in a marriage.
There's no leader. It's all you agree? And both couple have to financially, emotionally, and personal development all equal.
All of that. The biggest challenge often with marriage, and particularly because of the pressures on the money side, is that money gets in the way. And learning how to talk about money, good and bad, strengthens a marriage. And it's one of the things that we didn't do well when we first got married, is that we couldn't have a conversation about money. So we learned how. And we said, we've got to learn how this all works. And once we found out, once we learned how we could have a conversation around money, then we had a stronger relationship. Because money is one of the things that breaks up a lot of partners.
That's right.
And often it's about measuring somebody's worth by way of dollars. That's the wrong measure. In a marriage, there is no financial measure on somebody's worth. But as soon as you apply a financial measure to somebody's worth, I believe the partnership starts to dissolve. Because if that happens and you get the children come along and the wife or the husband has to give up work to support the child, to look after the child in the initial stages, then there's a feeling of having a lack of. And there's a feeling of, well, I'm doing all the work, I'm going out and working all day and I'm bringing this money in and I can't, and then I've got to come home and help with the house and so on. That's rubbish conversation. It's about two people doing where their strengths lie. And if the mother of the children believe that their strength is in looking after and nurturing, then that's where they should be. Because the husband's strength probably is in bringing in the resources she needs and the family needs to support itself. Whereas in some families it could be the reverse. And that's good too. I've been in both situations. During our 42 years, when we started, I was farming. And my wife was doing part-time work, so I meant that I could come home and look after the children before they started school or going to preschool. At the same time, she was able to feel as though she was contributing by doing some part-time work and talking to other people other than Harry McCleary or somebody like that.
So that's really, I'm really inspired by your story of your marriage. And also, our last question, I know you'll get to go in 10 minutes. And if someone here now looking for a partner, do you have any advice for them?
I do. Look for a friendship first.
Friendship first?
And then a stable foundation on which to build from there. And unless you're friends first, the marriage is not. There are reasons for going into marriage frequently, and often that can either be sexual or relationship based, or just an absolute need. In most cases, in most cases, it's about being friendship first. In mine, I think. They're friendship first. So it's being friends with the person that ultimately will become your partner. And that strength of friendship, building that relationship, building that friendship, is the place to start.
That's awesome advice. Well, thank you so much. Today you may be both here, and hopefully our audience can learn something from this 15 minutes interview from Ross. And also Ross doing a brilliant job to coaching people who are in business and personal development. He have 25 years?
I've been coaching. I've been coaching in Auckland for 11 years now, and I was working in a corporate as a corporate coach for about 10 years before that.
So you also, during our periods can be complex. I know you know all the human strengths, weakness. You see so many people, you help them out. So any of you, if you are in the direction of your journey to doing business or in personal development, Ross have an awesome program for you. And you can touch with me, or you can contact his website. I'll put his website link in this video below. And would you like to help him?
Certainly, yes, yes. Yeah,
That would be great.
yeah, cool.
So thank you, Ross, and thank you everyone watching. And I'm looking to see you guys next video in next week. All right, have a great week. Bye.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks.